Hey guys, Sean here. Today we have to talk about silver. It's a bloodbath in the markets, and year to date, silver is down 16%. Now, a lot of us are feeling the pain. I've been buying silver since 2015, and I understand it's frustrating to see silver at $19. But we have to have a reality check here and really brace ourselves for the silver price to crash even further. Yes guys, the pain is likely not over because we are heading into a deflationary wave. Everything across the board is selling off. It's not just silver, it's gold, it's stocks, and very soon it's going to be real estate as well. Now this silver crash is the primary reason why of my precious metals holdings only around 20% is silver because it's just that volatile. And another thing I'm hearing is how can silver fall so much if it's money? And this is another big misconception that we have to address in this video as well. Because if you are going to continue buying silver in the months ahead, you need to be doing it for the right reasons. However, if you're new to silver and you're establishing your stack from ground zero, this is an incredible opportunity to start stacking more of the metal because prices are likely going to come down further. We are also going to see those ridiculous premiums over the past few years crash down to earth as well. But firstly, we gotta understand the crazy environment that we are in today. Never before in history did we have an extended period of low interest rates fueling all these asset bubbles and the Fed printing trillions of dollars over the last decade. Yes, never happened before, and now Powell is doing a big U-turn on this. He's literally sucking out all of the money in the system. He's pulling out $95 billion a month, and he's going to continue hiking interest rates month after month. And when you remove all this cheap money from an economy that's addicted to it previously, it's going to have a big withdrawal, which is a market crash. Now, we all know that silver and precious metals are hard assets, and there's never been a time when real assets have been cheaper than paper assets, and that's true. And that's why the stock market is falling much harder than gold and silver, but that doesn't make silver immune from market forces. Because inflation is so horribly high, you are seeing a lot of people liquidating their assets and taking out loans to buy gas and put food on the table. It's horrible, I know, but the money is really not going to silver, guys. People are fighting for survival. And this brings us to how we need to view silver going forward and some misconceptions that we need to clear up about silver. Now, this channel started out in gold and silver, but it has evolved to also include the economy, stock investing, and commodities in general. So I'm really talking objectively here. I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods under a false pretense, but to educate you so that if you do continue to buy silver, you really understand the pros and the cons, so that you have the holding power to hang on to it if silver drops by another 10 or even 20%. Now, firstly, silver is not gold. It is not a cheaper, more volatile version of gold. They are very different. They are getting less and less correlated, and it's getting more obvious as time goes by. In 2020, when the lockdowns began, gold continued to rise non-stop, but silver crashed and only rose once Powell decided to print trillions of dollars. Now, there are a lot of people who believe silver is money, and I understand that. I believe that it should be, but we need to recognize that the world doesn't see it that way. And that is why, from just the price alone, we can see silver is down 16%, while gold is only down by 3% more or less in the same period. Now, this is significant, and it shows that people view gold more as money. And that's because silver is seen more as an industrial metal with a history of being a monetary metal. Very important difference right here. And during the past few recessions, silver on average has fallen more than gold, which is also something to consider. And I get a big disconnect. Wasn't the dollar once backed by both gold and silver in the United States? Wasn't silver used by people thousands of years ago as money? And you would be right. But the focus of a monetary metal is given to gold today, and silver has taken a backseat, and because of that, people are less likely to liquidate their gold compared to their silver. But if we zoom out to 20 years back, silver is still a decent store of value and has risen from $5 to over $19. So if you bought it back in the day, you're still up. However, I really need to issue a warning here. There's very little resistance or flaw separating silver from dropping all the way down to $14, $15 levels, because things are really going to become very rough in the economy. Now, if you didn't know by now, the Fed's own GDP Now prediction model has printed a negative 2.1% growth for Q2, and if we combine it with Q1's growth of minus 1.6%, we are in a recession now. The economy is contracting, and this is the primary reason why silver is going to have continued pressure on its price. So if you're averaging into the metal and buying more ounces, you need to understand this. It's much better buying at $19 today than at $25 a year back, but the bloodbath is likely not over yet. So you need to hang on tight and look at the bigger picture. Now the big issue with silver today is that it is primarily an industrial metal. Almost 70% of it is used industrially, and that is double-edged sword. Silver demand will rise if you're moving towards a green future, when there are more solar panels to be manufactured and when there are more electronics to be made. But guys, we are moving to a recession, and not just a typical recession. It's going to be a stagflation. That's the worst kind. Not only will interest rates go up, making it harder for companies to grow, but we are also going to see a massive drop in consumer spending very soon. People aren't spending as much anymore. Guys, I've personally cut my expenses by a third, and when layoffs start to happen, and believe me, it's coming, it's going to get real ugly. It's not just the tech sector that's cutting away jobs. We are seeing workers in finance and mortgage industries getting fired as well. And this is why it's really hard to give a strong fundamental case for silver, especially if you're trying to trade it for the short term. You're trying to gain short-term profit from it. And it's especially silly now to buy physical silver if you plan to turn around and hope to sell it for a gain 2, 3, 4 months down the road. It likely won't happen. And if the price does spike, it's just going to be temporary. Now, if you take a look at the commitment of traders report for silver, which shows how money is really allocated in the paper silver market, we can see right now the majority of traders are short silver. There are more people selling silver contracts than people buying silver. Yes, I know paper silver isn't the real physical metal, but it controls the prices because the paper market is hundreds of times bigger. It's crazy, I know, it is what it is, and we need to take it for what it is. And the interesting thing here is that if we dig deeper into the report, we can see managed money piling on more short positions to push the price of silver down. Now, these are your money managers, your hedge funds, the professional or so-called smart money. They are betting that the price of silver will fall. And if we take a look at the producer or merchants, we can see that they are also massively short on silver. Their positions are 81% short. That is a crazy amount of shorts hammering away at silver from both the producers and big money. But if you look carefully, we can see that the other and non-reportables that represent retail and independent traders are still massively long, but they're starting to exit more of their long positions. And if this selling from the man on the street continues, it could plunge silver even further. So the selling pressure for silver is huge. Could that reverse suddenly? Yes, it could. But there's no fundamental reason for a bull market in silver anytime soon, and the market is really pricing that in. Now, the big question is, how far can silver fall? Are we looking at $15 or even $10 silver? Now, the good thing about commodities is that they have intrinsic value. There's a cost producing them, and in this case, it's the mining cost of silver. According to Metal Focus, the all-in sustaining mining cost for silver in 2021 was around $10 an ounce, while the Silver Institute states that it's closer to $11. Now, let's just use the lower number of $10 for argument's sake, and that means if the price of silver does go below that threshold, miners will not be able to make a profit. They might actually lose money at that price point. Now, this will just cause mining companies to stop mining the metal, right? After all, who wants to lose money? And it's just simple math. If enough mines can't make a profit, they stop producing silver, the supply drops more than the demand, and this forces the prices of silver back up above $10. Now, this is really helpful because the closer silver gets to its mining cost, the more attractive it will become as an investment. But in 2022, I have a feeling that mining costs are above $10 because of higher oil prices and inflation. And this is the thing about investing in mining stocks or the mining indexes like the GDX or the GDXJ. They're all getting clobbered down by 20% because on one hand, you have mining costs going up thanks to the rising price of oil and people's wages going up. And on the other hand, you have a declining silver price causing lower profits. Now, obviously, I have positions in both the silver metal itself and mining stocks, and I am feeling the pain just like you. But I have a long-term view, and I believe the payoff will come and the payoff will be huge. Now, I can't tell you when. I don't have a crystal ball, but I want us to view silver differently, especially during this recession that could last 6, 12, 18 months, or even 24 months. Now, there's a reason why I'm not sweating or panicking too much about silver, and it's because I'm well diversified. The majority of my money isn't in silver, it's just a small percentage. You don't see me conjuring content about why silver is the best investment today and forever, because it's not always true. Remember that investment conditions always change. If the Fed comes out tomorrow and starts lowering rates and prints money all over again, then the price of silver will start to skyrocket up. Now, how I personally look at silver is more of a hard asset that preserves wealth. I want us to really focus on silver not as an investment per se, but as an asset that's outside of the financial system. And like gold, it has zero counterparty risk, because if you hold it, you really own it. There's no risk of a bail-in and the banks reaching in to take your money if there's a financial collapse. And that is why I also believe there is a limit to how much silver you should hold. You shouldn't be aimlessly buying forever and trying to stack them high to the ceiling, because there could come a situation when you need cash to survive. Maybe you have to come out with money to pay your mortgage or to buy food, and if all your capital is stuck in silver, you could be forced to sell at a loss, and I don't want that to happen to you. It will leave a bitter taste in your mouth, and you might never ever come back to silver. And the way I see physical silver, at least, is a store of value that is easy to barter with if the financial system does collapse. It won't perform as good as the stock market, but if the worst should happen, if we encounter a financial Armageddon, then I will have something of value to exchange for in times of crisis. Now, obviously, you can do it with gold as well, but silver is more handy for all those smaller purchases. An ounce of gold here holds around $1,700 of value, while the same ounce of silver holds around $20. And truth be told, gold has always been a better inflation hedge than silver. It's less volatile and much more portable. But if you have silver, you have that extra upside. You'll benefit if industrial demand for silver picks back up as we move inevitably towards a greener future, and as money printing ultimately comes back, because silver is a much smaller market. So if you're a new stacker, this might be one of the best times to consider starting your stack. Remember that people in the past few years were buying at $22, $25, and even $30. And with the recession coming, you'll be in store for some fantastic deals. And when we are talking about physical silver, I'm also expecting the premiums to come down. We are beginning to see dealers slash their premiums by 30%, sometimes even 50% in some cases. And this is when buying silver is the most cost effective. Not when we are trying to chase a silver squeeze, when dealers are trying to take advantage of the situation. But if you already have your stack and you have enough, then don't sweat it, guys. Don't overextend yourself. Maybe wait a while, because the price of silver could still have more room to fall. And whatever you do, don't buy on credit. Don't buy any asset on credit, because everything is imploding and the only thing going up is your interest rate. And when you buy silver, you really have to adopt I'll bury it in the ground and dig it up 20 years later mindset. And if you can't afford to do that, then don't buy. Simple. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just want you to invest safely. Now, personally, I'm buying into this silver drop, but at predetermined levels of $18, $17, $16, and so on. Every time the price gets smashed down to a lower level, every time it gets closer to the mining cost, I'll buy up a bit more. And if it goes up, I won't pull the trigger, because the economic conditions are still very bearish and I'm not crazy enough to fight against the Fed. Now, I want to take this opportunity to address the common idea that silver is money like gold. Will silver be reinstated as money one day? Now, there are many school of thoughts on this, and I belong to the camp that silver is a minor monetary metal compared to gold. In other words, gold is the big daddy, the king of monetary metals, and when people think of hard money or the world decides to revert to precious metals, gold will be first in line. And we do know that silver was used as money even before gold, and the silver standard was just as important as the gold standard back in 1792. But we have to understand two main points. The 15:1 gold ratio was mandated by the government and not really the free market. And today silver is used more industrially than being stored as a precious metals. Sure, I find the current gold to silver ratio of 90 is very high, but I also doubt we will ever see 15:1 again. We really need to update our beliefs and understand that things change, especially when silver is now more of an industrial metal. Plus, central banks hold gold, not silver. Countries like the United States, Russia, China, and Germany, they all hold gold. Gold is part of their reserves and not silver, and this eliminates an important segment of buyers that gold has, the central bank. So if the price of gold really crashes, we can expect central banks to be the buyers of last resort and swoop in to support the gold price. But this doesn't ring true for silver. It will be the private markets that will be buying silver. Now, there's a lot of exciting news about China and Russia trying to develop a reserve currency and it being possibly backed by commodities like gold. And if you hold some silver, there's a wish that maybe silver can play a role too. I really hope it does. I hold quite a bit of silver, but I still believe center stage will go to gold simply because governments hold gold. And if you think in their shoes, why should they peg their currency to silver which they don't own? If I was a central banker, I would peg it to gold because my vaults are filled to the brim with it and I want to benefit from the appreciation. Now, if there isn't enough gold to match the currency supply, or if the price of gold gets too ridiculously high, then sure, silver might come in at that point, and if it does, the price appreciation for silver will be phenomenal. But this is something that you really need to think about as well. I love silver, I own lots of it, but at this moment, we are in a deadly deflation spiral. Money is going to leave the system, interest rates are going to go up, and this recession is going to make things tougher for silver. And I think we really need to sit back, take a day or two and ask ourselves, why are we buying silver? Are we looking to make a short-term speculative trade? Am I stacking physical silver in case of a financial Armageddon? Am I trying to stack physical wealth for generations to come? Now, silver will come back. Its day will shine. And I'm not going to sit here and throw $100 silver by year's end because it won't happen. There's no fundamental case for that. But I do believe in one thing. I believe down the road, the Fed will overcorrect and cause the economy to crash. I believe when unemployment goes up enough and people on the street are blaming Capitol Hill, Powell will step in and print money again. And this will create another era of speculation. Money will rush back in the economy and silver will benefit from this. So let me know what you think. Are you still buying and loading up on silver during this crash? Or are you holding off for now and just sitting back watching this implosion happen? Let me know in the comments below. Stay safe, and if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe as we navigate through these turbulent times. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you soon.